just acted the cast itself. The realness of the people in the cast. They reached out and got to real people, unreal people, all people who looked at it.
Time has not been kind to some of the casts of Sanford and Son who once ruled sitcoms. When the show premiered in 1972, it quickly became one of America's most popular comedies. Led by the explosive humor of Redd Foxx and the presence of other characters, the show went on for 5 seasons. But behind the laughter, the casts have experienced different dramatic life changes. What really happened to the casts of Sanford and Sons, and how did fame change their lives over the years? Join us as we unveil the casts of Sanford and Sons and their unbelievable transformations. Redd Foxx as Fred G. Sanford. When the series premiered on NBC in January 1972, Redd immediately became its driving force. Playing a junk dealer, Fred G. Sanford delivered sharp insults, sarcastic humor, and the character's famous fake heart attacks with flawless timing. The role he played felt raw and authentic, and audiences were captivated by his uniqueness. Soon, the show became one of the highest-rated comedies of the decade, turning Redd into a household name across the United States. Redd's success on television, however, came after decades of difficult work. Born in 1922, he spent years performing in black nightclubs and comedy circuits. These venues demanded quick wit and strong stage presence. If a comedian failed to control the room within seconds, the audience would lose interest. This made Redd master that environment. He developed the blunt, fearless delivery that defined his television performances. By the time Hollywood discovered him, he had already built a strong reputation among live audiences. Between 1972 and 1977, Redd's influence on Sanford and Son extended beyond acting. His improvisational instincts often shaped scenes, and writers frequently adjusted scripts to match his rhythm and style. During the period, the show's popularity brought national recognition and constant media attention for Redd. For many viewers, Redd's rise looked like the ultimate reward for years of perseverance. However, Redd's life was not without challenges. His success also brought financial trouble. Redd was known for lavish spending, collecting expensive cars, and large homes. This led to poor financial planning, and unpaid taxes eventually caught up with him. In 1983, the Internal Revenue Service pursued him for significant tax debts, leading to the seizure of several of his possessions. Redd filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection, citing $1.6 million owed the IRS from taxes before 1983 and more than $800,000 owed to other creditors. Despite once being one of television's highest-paid comedians, his financial situation deteriorated sharply. In 1991, Fox attempted a return to television with the sitcom The Royal Family. However, during a rehearsal on October 11th, he suddenly collapsed on set. At first, some crew members assumed he was joking, since Fred Sanford's fake heart attacks had become one of television's most recognizable gags. But the situation was real. Fox was rushed to Cedars-Sinai Medical Center in Los Angeles, where doctors confirmed he had suffered a fatal heart attack. He was 68 when he died. More than 5 decades after Sanford and Son first aired, Redd Foxx remains central to the show's legacy. Yet while Redd Foxx commanded the spotlight as Fred Sanford, another star carried the show alongside him, Demond Wilson. What happened to him after the show? Demond Wilson as Lamont Sanford. During the show, audiences quickly connected not only with Fred Sanford, but also with his son, Lamont Sanford. Played by Demond Wilson, Lamont served as the calm counterpart to his father's loud and unpredictable personality. While Fred delivered cutting insults and outrageous schemes, Lamont often responded with patience, skepticism, and loyalty. That balance helped shape the show's comedic rhythm and made Lamont the emotional anchor of the series. At the height of the show's popularity in the 1970s, Demond appeared to be living a typical television success story. Sanford and Son became one of the most watched sitcoms of the decade, and his face was instantly recognizable to viewers across the country. Despite the fame and popularity, Demond understood the hierarchy within the show since the series revolved around Redd Foxx and his portrayal of Fred G. Sanford. Lamont was written largely as the straight man, reacting to his father's chaos rather than driving the comedy himself. As the series continued, that dynamic sometimes limited Damon's creative space. Fox's strong improvisational style frequently shaped scenes, leaving Lamont's character primarily responsible for grounding the humor. Damon later spoke about the challenge of being strongly identified with a single television role. While the character made him famous, it also made it difficult for producers to imagine him in different parts. When Sanford and Son ended in 1977, Damon had expected new opportunities in television and film. Instead, like many actors closely tied to a successful sitcom, he encountered typecasting. Many casting offers resembled Lamont Sanford, reinforcing the public image he hoped to move beyond. In the year 1980, Damon made a major life decision that few television actors attempt. After a personal religious awakening, he stepped away from the entertainment industry and focused on faith and ministry. He became an ordained Christian minister in 1984 and dedicated much of his time to preaching, writing, and church work. This was in fulfillment of a vow he had made as a child after a near-death experience. In the decades that followed, Wilson lived largely outside the Hollywood spotlight. He occasionally appeared in interviews and later wrote several Christian books, but he avoided the constant publicity that once surrounded him. His life shifted from television studios to ministry, family life, and personal faith. Tragically, Damon died of complications from cancer at his home in Palm Springs, California, on January 30, 2026, at the age of 79. His son, Christopher, confirmed that Damon had been suffering from prostate cancer. While Damon Wilson had an unforgettable legacy on and off screen, another character also lived an influential life. LaWanda Page as Aunt Esther Anderson. When LaWanda appeared on the series as Aunt Esther Anderson, she quickly became one of the show's most explosive comedic forces. As a loud and sharp-tongued character, Aunt Esther frequently clashed with Fred G. Sanford. Their verbal battles, filled with outrageous insults and dramatic reactions, became some of the show's most quoted moments. For many viewers, Aunt Esther was one of the defining characters of the series. Off-screen, however, LaWanda Page's personality was very different from the fiery character she portrayed. Born Alberta Richmond in 1920, she had built a career as a comedian long before television fame arrived. LaWanda performed on the demanding nightclub and stand-up comedy circuits, particularly in African-American entertainment venues during the mid-20th century. Those stages required quick wit and resilience, and they helped develop the bold comedic style that later made Aunt Esther unforgettable. LaWanda also shared a long friendship with Redd Foxx that dated back to their early performing days. When Foxx became the star of Sanford and Son, he reportedly encouraged producers to cast LaWanda on the show. The decision proved successful, as her character quickly became a fan favorite and a regular presence in the series' later seasons. Despite the popularity of Aunt Esther, LaWanda faced a challenge common among television actors: typecasting. Casting directors often saw her primarily as the loud, confrontational character from the sitcom, which limited opportunities for more varied roles. She continued to work in entertainment through guest television appearances, comedy performances, and film roles, but the level of success rarely matched the recognition she received from Sanford and Son. In 1990, LaWanda experienced serious health problems related to diabetes. The illness led to significant complications later in her life. She continued making occasional public appearances when possible, but her health gradually declined. Tragically, LaWanda Page passed away on September 14, 2002, at the age of 81 due to complications of her heart attack. Though her passing did not dominate headlines, her influence on television comedy remains clear. Aunt Esther still stands out as one of the most unforgettable sitcom characters of the era. It didn't end with LaWanda. Another female cast who time changed over the years is Esther Rolle. Esther Rolle as Florida Evans. Before Esther Rolle became widely known as Florida Evans, she appeared on Sanford and Son as Fred Sanford's strong-willed sister-in-law. Even in a comedic setting built around loud arguments and exaggerated personalities, Esther brought a sense of calm authority to her performances. Her acting style was grounded and close to perfection, reflecting her background in theater and years of dramatic training before entering television. Esther had spent decades building her craft on stage, performing in theater productions that emphasized emotional realism and disciplined acting. Because of that background, she was especially attentive to how black families were portrayed on television. While sitcoms were expanding representation, Esther believed that visibility alone was not enough if characters were reduced to stereotypes or exaggerated comic figures. Her career reached a major turning point when she began portraying Florida Evans, a role that moved from Sanford and Son into the spin-off series Good Times in 1974. As the strong, faith-driven mother of the Evans family, Florida became one of the most respected parental figures on television. The show, set in a Chicago housing project, explored themes of poverty, resilience, and family unity. Rolle approached the role with seriousness, hoping the series would present a more balanced portrayal of working-class black life. However, tensions developed behind the scenes as the show progressed. Rolle was concerned that the series was shifting toward exaggerated comedy, particularly around the character J.J. Evans, played by Jimmy Walker. While the character's catchphrases became popular with audiences, Rolle believed the humor sometimes overshadowed the show's deeper themes. Her willingness to challenge writers and producers earned her respect from some colleagues, but also created conflict within the production. In 1977, at the height of the show's popularity, Esther made the unusual decision to leave Good Times. The departure reflected her commitment to the values she believed television should represent. She later returned for the final season under revised conditions. She also continued acting throughout the following decades and received critical recognition for her work in major productions, including the landmark television miniseries Roots. Yet her later years were marked by serious health struggles, particularly complications from diabetes. Esther Rolle passed away on November 17, 1998, at the age of 78. Today, her legacy extends beyond comedy. Esther remains remembered as an actress who not only entertained audiences but also pushed television to portray black families with dignity. What is the life story of the next cast? Whitman Mayo as Grady Wilson. Whitman joined the sitcom later than several of its core characters, but his arrival quickly made an impact. Playing Grady Wilson, a friend and occasional substitute partner to Fred G. Sanford, he brought a relaxed, confident, comedic presence to the series.
I'm here with Whitman Mayo, a.k.a. Grady, and I want to say, first of all, that is the most money we've ever spent on anything at Grady's side.
Grady's storytelling, dry delivery, and exaggerated swagger created a different comedic rhythm from Fred's explosive personality. Their on-screen exchanges often became some of the show's most memorable moments, and audiences responded warmly to Whitman's performance. Although the character appeared in fewer episodes than the central cast, Grady became popular enough that producers briefly developed a spin-off series titled Grady. In 1975, the show placed the character in a new setting with relatives in Los Angeles. However, the series struggled to attract the same audience as Sanford and Son and lasted for only one season. For Whitman, the success of his character came later in life compared to many television actors. By the time Sanford and Son brought him national recognition, he was already in his 40s. While the exposure was valuable, it also created a challenge familiar to many sitcom performers. Casting directors often associated Whitman strongly with the comedic style of Grady Wilson, which limited the variety of roles he was offered after the show's peak years. Following the end of Sanford and Son in 1977, Whitman continued working steadily in television and film. He appeared in guest roles on various series and remained active in entertainment, though he rarely found another role as widely recognized as Grady. Like many actors from classic television, his career became a mix of occasional acting work, public appearances, and smaller productions rather than long-running series. In his later years, he also devoted time to education and community work. He reportedly pursued academic studies and supported theater and arts programs, sharing his experience with younger performers interested in acting. Whitman Mayo passed away on January 22, 2003, at the age of 70. His death received respectful recognition from fans who remembered his distinctive comedic style and the warmth he brought to the screen. While Whitman may not have been the central star of Sanford and Son, his portrayal of Grady Wilson left a lasting impression on audiences. Life complications have indeed left a mark on the life of the cast. Another actor struggled on and off screen. Let's find out who. Don Bexley as Bubba Bexley. Don Bexley joined the sitcom as a recurring character, bringing exaggerated physical comedy, expressive reactions, and a playful unpredictability that fit into the chaotic world of Fred Sanford's junkyard. On screen, Bubba's antics made him a fan favorite. His energy and comic timing complemented Redd Foxx and added texture to the ensemble. Yet, behind the scenes, Bexley faced challenges far more difficult than any scripted scene. Long before television brought him recognition, Bexley struggled with alcohol addiction, a battle that shadowed much of his adult life. Unlike marquee stars, supporting actors of the era often had little agency. Bexley could not negotiate breaks, refuse roles, or take time to address his health. He was expected to perform reliably and consistently. Any lapse could result in replacement. He was always trying to be perfect and ensuring his job was well executed. This pressure compounded the toll of his addiction, as alcohol became both a coping mechanism and a source of further instability. His work became irregular at some point and income inconsistent. Bexley's roles were typically minor, leaving him without long-term contracts or financial security. By the late 1970s, the effects of years under pressure were clear. His health had deteriorated significantly, and his appearances on the show became less frequent. Despite his talent and contribution to one of television's most popular comedies, the system offered little support. On April 15, 1997, Don Bexley passed away at the age of 87 due to complications from heart and kidney failure. His death was sudden and largely went unnoticed by mainstream media, a conclusion to a life marked by both humor and hardship. Unlike some of his co-stars who later found alternative paths or second acts, Bexley's story did not include recovery or reinvention. While every other cast has had a tragic death experience, an actor has maintained being the oldest surviving actor as at 2026. Hal Williams as Officer Smitty Smith. Hal Williams joined Sanford and Son in the middle of the show as Officer Smitty Smith. He was a calm actor and maintained a simple lifestyle during the show. Unlike Redd Foxx's explosive energy or LaWanda Page's loud confrontations, Smitty provided a steady presence. He was seen often mediating conflicts and responding to Fred's schemes with patience and understated humor. His character became a recognizable recurring figure, balancing the show's exaggerated comedy with a touch of realism. Before television fame, Hal Williams had developed his craft through theater and a variety of guest roles, honing timing, character work, and adaptability. He was a talented and versatile actor known to all. This experience allowed him to function efficiently in an established sitcom environment, delivering performances that were memorable without overshadowing the main stars. Where many other top actors were pushed into exaggerated traits to elicit laughs, Williams relied on his craft. His reactions to Fred Sanford's antics became just as entertaining as the chaos, giving Smitty a lasting appeal. Joining the show later in its run presented its own challenges. By the time Williams appeared regularly, audiences had already formed strong attachments to Fred, Lamont, and Aunt Esther. Recognition was gradual, and as a supporting actor, he faced typecasting pressures common in television. Producers often sought the same dependable, calm persona for future roles, limiting opportunities to explore dramatic range despite Williams's proven skill. After Sanford and Son ended in 1977, Williams continued a steady career in television. He secured recurring roles on shows such as 227 and appeared on series including The Jeffersons and The Waltons. Unlike many cast members who faced typecasting or career instability, Williams maintained a consistent presence on screen. He demonstrated how professionalism and adaptability could build long-term success in the industry. Williams' path shows that consistency, patience, and craft can leave a lasting legacy in television history. As he celebrated his 87th in 2025, he remains the oldest surviving cast member from the show. Another cast member passed away after living a fulfilled life. Gregory Sierra as Julio Fuentes. Gregory Sierra joined Sanford and Son as Julio Fuentes, the Puerto Rican neighbor whose clashes with Fred Sanford added cultural tension and humor to the show. Julio was outspoken, proud, and often frustrated by Fred's schemes, creating a comedic contrast rooted in both personality and ethnicity. Gregory's performance brought authenticity and sharp timing, making Julio a recurring character audiences remembered for his fiery interactions and occasional moral lessons. Before joining Sanford and Son, Gregory had already built a reputation in theater and television. He appeared in series such as Barney Miller and stage productions that emphasized realism and character development. This background allowed him to bring depth to Julio, turning what could have been a one-dimensional neighbor stereotype into a character with wit and pride. His ability to navigate comedy while mixing it in authenticity made Julio memorable, even in a limited number of episodes. Despite the visibility the show provided, Gregory faced the challenges typical of supporting actors in 1970s television. By the time he joined, the core cast, Redd Foxx, Grady Wilson, and others, had already established their dominance. Recognition came, but it was often secondary to the main stars, and typecasting quickly followed. Producers and casting directors largely saw Gregory through the lens of Julio's personality: passionate, argumentative, and streetwise. While this brought him repeat work in similar roles, it limited opportunities to showcase broader acting range in television or film, as always. After Sanford and Son ended in 1977, Gregory continued his career with guest appearances on a variety of popular series, including Starsky and Hutch, The Rockford Files, and later, Hill Street Blues. He demonstrated versatility in drama and comedy alike, though Julio Fuentes remained the role for which many fans recognized him. His career trajectory reflected the broader pattern of supporting cast members who achieved lasting visibility without the financial security or creative leverage afforded to lead actors. Gregory Sierra passed away from cancer on January 4, 2021, at the age of 83. He is survived by his wife, Helene. What is the next cast member remembered for on and off camera? Nathaniel Taylor as Rollo Lawson. Nathaniel Taylor brought a sharp, streetwise energy to Sanford and Son as Rollo Lawson, Fred Sanford's fast-talking, scheming nephew. He had a matching energy with Gregory, and there was no doubt they became friends on screen. Introduced in the middle of the show, Rollo was designed as a contrast to Lamont Sanford. With slick confidence and a knack for getting into trouble, Rollo provided a new layer of humor while highlighting generational and ethical contrasts within the Sanford family. Nathaniel's portrayal made Rollo memorable despite his limited appearances, earning him a spot in the minds of fans alongside the show's more prominent characters. One thing about Nathaniel was that he had no acting experience before he joined the show. Following his military service, he attended trade school to become an electrician. He later moved to Los Angeles, where he worked as an electrician at the Performing Arts Center. While he was working behind the scenes, building stages and hanging lights for local community theater, Nathaniel was spotted by theater director Vantiel Whitfield. Whitfield, who was working with the National Endowment for the Arts, encouraged him to audition for a television role because of his unique style and demeanor. Despite having no formal acting experience, he auditioned for the role of Rollo Lawson. His comedic timing and expressive delivery made Rollo more than just a stock troublemaker character, giving depth to moments that might have otherwise been purely comic. However, like many supporting actors in television, Nathaniel faced professional limitations. Joining a series already dominated by Redd Foxx and Grady Wilson meant Rollo's role was always secondary. Recognition came, but opportunities to expand beyond the typecast scheming young man were scarce. Yet a character's popularity will not necessarily translate into financial stability or long-term career security, so he did all he could to find more jobs. After Sanford and Son ended in 1977, Nathaniel continued acting in film and television, appearing in guest roles on shows such as Good Times, The Fall Guy, and Hill Street Blues. While none of these roles matched the visibility of Rollo, he built a steady career that showcased his range beyond the comedic nephew. Yet, despite consistent work, Taylor often reflected the challenge of escaping a character closely associated with a hit sitcom. Audiences and casting directors alike tended to see Rollo first, Nathaniel Taylor second. Nathaniel Taylor passed away on December 27, 2019, at the age of 80. It was reported that he suffered a heart attack. His death sparked tributes that remembered him primarily for the energy and humor he brought to Rollo Lawson, a character that brought about youthful audacity and street-smart mischief. From the bold humor of Nathaniel Taylor, Another iconic presence emerged on the show, Pat Morita. Pat Morita as Ah Chew. Pat Morita appeared on Sanford and Son as Ah Chew, the quirky, good-natured friend whose interactions with Fred Sanford added unexpected cultural humor and warmth. Ah Chew was often calm, a quality that contrasted with Fred's loud, scheming personality. Pat's portrayal brought an understated charm to the series, providing moments of soft human connection amid the junkyard chaos. While he was a recurring character rather than a series regular, Ah Chew's appearances remain memorable for fans, reflecting Pat's talent for balancing comedy with sincerity. Before Sanford and Son, Pat had already faced significant personal and professional challenges. Born in 1932, he spent much of his early life in internment camps during World War II, experiences that shaped his growth and depth as a performer. He trained in stand-up comedy, television, and stage work, learning to combine timing and physical comedy. By the time he joined Sanford and Son, Pat had a solid foundation in performance but was still seeking his breakthrough in mainstream television. Pat's presence on the show was limited but impactful. His character often served as a contrast to Fred's antics. His character of responding with patience, clever retorts highlighted the absurdity around him. While audiences appreciated these moments, Pat, like many supporting actors of the era, faced typecasting challenges. Recurring roles like Ah Chew offered visibility but not long-term security, and producers often viewed him primarily through the lens of comedic persona rather than his full acting range. After Sanford and Son, Pat went on to achieve wider recognition, most notably for his Academy Award-nominated performance in The Karate Kid 1984 as Mr. Miyagi. This role showcased his dramatic depth and ability to carry a narrative central to a film's emotional core. Unlike many of his Sanford and Son peers, Pat successfully transitioned from supporting television roles to landmark cinematic performances, proving his versatility and resilience in Hollywood. Pat Morita passed away on November 24, 2005, at the age of 73. While his early television work, including Ah Chew, might be overshadowed by later successes, especially in Karate Kid, it represents a formative stage in a career marked by his perseverance and adaptability. Which Sanford and Son cast member's transformation surprised you the most? If the show was revived today, which of these characters would you want to see return? Share your thoughts with us in the comments section. Remember to like, share, and subscribe for more. Also, click the next video showing on your screen. You will enjoy it.